Morning, everyone. Welcome to the early edition of Morning Musings. This time change has got me totally messed up. I hate waking up thinking that it's one time and find out it's a little bit earlier than I expected. I don't know what I'm going to do as far as the time slot goes. Should we keep it at 9 a.m. Eastern or keep it? I go by the sun. I don't look at the clock that much. When the sun comes up, I'm up. When the sun goes down, I go to bed. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think as far as maybe we should make it at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which will be really 9 a.m. Regular time. I don't know. But like I say, I woke up this morning, and I normally get up around 5:30 or so. And I got up and went and got something to drink, and I looked at the clock, and it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, what on earth am I doing? So, yeah. Mark, you're funny. So, that's where we're standing right now. Things around here have been going pretty good. I got the shop just about set up. All my equipment's back up and running again. I did some test cuts yesterday. The CNC's working good. The lasers are working good. I'm doing probably either today or tomorrow. I'm doing the prototype of the DIY incubator kit, and I just want to make sure that everything's going to work out, well on that before I post it on the website that if they're available. And then we got some other stuff that I'm working on. Like I say, if you keep an eye on GulfCoastQuail.com, you'll see in the store all the new stuff that we're putting up. We still have the Coturnix Corner tumblers. I got a kink in my neck, by the way. I must have slept funny. I don't know if I'm going to. I might make a Morning Musings tumbler. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, too. So, other than that, that's all that's been going on around here. I was supposed to work the bees this morning, but I don't think I'm going to. We just had Melaleuca start blooming again, and when they're bringing in that Melaleuca nectar, you can really smell it. It's got like almost like a potato-y type of a smell, like sweet potatoes or something, and I don't want to disturb them. I think I'm just going to let them go ahead and bring in as much nectar as they can on this round, and then I'll go through and see what's going on, do an inspection, maybe steal some more honey from them. All right, let me go ahead. We'll jump over to the chat room. If you guys got anything in particular you want to talk about, go ahead and comment over there, and we'll get something going here. I can tell there's a few people, probably all the West Coasters aren't up this early, because we've only got like 20-something people in there right now, but anyhow, that's all right. Double R Farms in the house says good morning. Glad you could join us, Gary. Let's see. Mark's the Rochelle Farm says, geez, Terry's, this is senior hour. I guess only old people wake up early? Is that what you mean by that? I like getting up early. I like to be up, before the sun gets up and then kind of stay up a little bit later than normal. But Dragon Girl says, I'm up too. Guess I'm in that same age bracket. Cool. Clifton Buck says, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I don't know what Robert's saying there. Oh. Jeff's House says, early for western Nebraska. Yeah, I can imagine. I thought about that too when I was scheduling the live. But like I say, I didn't want to wait another hour to go live at 9 o'clock Eastern, because I've been up so early. I feel like I'm not getting anything done out in the shop, so I wanted to, just go ahead and I don't know. Maybe next week, when I get used to this time change a little bit, we'll just go right back to the regular 9 a.m. stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. Bob Cole's in the house, says, love watching sunrise over the New Mexico mountains. I bet you do. I'd love to see that. Bartek's in the house, says, good afternoon from Sweden. Glad you could join us. I wonder what time. What time is it over there? Probably about 12 hours difference. So you're looking at like maybe 8 p.m. over there. Creative Exotics says good morning. Good morning. Glad you could join us. Rochelle Farm says my young self should be getting beauty sleep. Yeah, you could probably really use it too, Mark. Just kidding. They call that sundowners. Okay. Anita Garrett's in the house. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. I appreciate it. Glad you could join us today. Dragon Girl says, this is the first day I've woken up before my ruse. To me, I don't... Florida's talking about doing away with the whole daylight savings time thing, and I really wish they would, because, you know, I don't care if it's 8 o'clock in the morning and it's dark out, or 8 o'clock in the morning and it's light out. To me, it doesn't mean anything. But stop changing the times to where I gotta, you know, either get up early. I feel like I'm getting up early when I don't need to. Let's see. Anita says, good morning, Mark. Underhill's in the house. Is happy fun time forever. Good morning, Underhill. Appreciate that. It is 6 a.m. here. Time to get up and get moving. That's what I say. Like I say, I'm always up like 5:30 in the morning every morning. So, Bob says, wish I could have bees, but have not seen more than a handful total in the last 4 years. You know, Bob, we had the exact same thing. Pretty much every year, I put a garden in about this time of year, a vegetable garden, and for the last couple years, I haven't produced hardly anything. I think out of I had 13 tomato plants, and I produced 3 tomatoes last year. I did not see any pollinators anywhere in the garden at all. So that was one of the main reasons I started looking into bees. That, and my dad's been pushing me to get bees for years. So I thought I would try it. But it's neat now because, you know, I can walk around the block or go, you know, a block over, and I'm seeing bees again on, you know, the lawn flowers and whatnot. And yeah, it's nice to see. So, and everybody that I've talked to, all my neighbors and stuff, they're like, I didn't tell anybody I had bees. And we started talking. Actually, I gave some honey to a few people, and they're the ones saying, so you're the one that has the bees? And I say, yeah, I've got some bees. They go, I'm seeing them now, and I haven't seen them in a long time. So the problem we have around here is every rainy season during the summer, they spray for mosquitoes. That also kills the bees when they're spraying for adult mosquitoes. And I actually had my first 3 hives earlier this year got pretty much totally wiped out, all but one of them, because they sprayed. But I ended up getting on their call list, so now they give me a 24-hour notice when they're going to spray, and that gives me time to go out there and cover the hives up and keep them safe. So, you know, knock on wood, I haven't lost any more bees due to spraying this year, and hopefully I won't. But no, I really would like to see how much difference it's going to make in this year's vegetable garden, because we're fixing to put it in here pretty soon. So, okay, Anita says internal clock had me up at 4:30. Mine too. Mark says, good morning, Anita. Hope you're doing well. Jeff Leslie's in the house. Says, I'm up on the West Coast going salmon fishing. Lucky dog. Wish I could do that. I used to do a lot of salmon fishing up in Michigan when I lived up there. Trout fishing, salmon, loved it. Nita says, glad I got the notification that you are live. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. A lot of times I'll get, usually what happens when I schedule the live, it's supposed to send out notifications to everyone who has hit the subscriber bell. And I usually get them like some of the other channels, the live streams that I watch. I usually get them through my email. And now I'm not getting them, at least for Coturnix Corner, I'm not getting them until after the live has already started. So I don't know what's going on there. Backyard Quail Keeper says, I have pansy quail with a bad leg, not feeding. I got it to drink water and have a bird liquid feed. Would it help? Depending on how bad the leg is, I mean, you might be better off just culling the bird so it's not in pain. There's no sense in trying to save a bird that's suffering. But, I mean, if the bird's getting along, if it's like maybe a pulled tendon, it might be okay. I would just keep it on its regular feed. I wouldn't worry about trying anything special, like force feeding it any liquid feed. If the bird can't feed on its own, I mean, it's either in that much pain or it's that debilitating, and it can't access feed, I would just put it down. That would be your best bet. For the bird's sake, anyhow. Double R Farm says, I wish they wouldn't spring forward or fall back. Exactly. Same way. Just, time is time. What really throws me off is yesterday when I woke up, it was still dark out. And this morning it was too, but the time that I normally get up, the sun's starting to come up. Today it was already coming up, or almost up. Carrie Bear's in the house says, good morning. Glad you could join us. Underhill says, daylight saving is dumb. Schedules should change. You should know when it gets dark where you live. That's right, Terry. Yep. Carrie says, it's 5 a.m. here. I can't sleep in even on my day off. Nope. Can't sleep in on your day off. Yeah, that's what kind of throws me. I mean, if your birds are what wakes you up in the morning, say they're crowing, they don't care what the clock says. They're going to wake you up when they're normally used to waking up. Aviator Dave's in the house. Says, good morning from Augusta, Georgia. Glad you could join us, Dave. Underhill says, that's crazy. Spraying should be illegal. In a better world, it would be. Yeah, in Florida, though, we got so much wetlands that when the mosquitoes start breeding, they don't really bother me, but a lot of people, they won't even go outside because the mosquitoes get so bad. So they kind of have to spray, but I wish they would come up with a spray that would kill the mosquitoes but not be toxic to the bees. Aviator Dave says, talking to Backyard Quail Keeper, I would research using kefir whey mixture for keeping your bird's health. There you go. I've never tried that. T. Mercer's in the house. Says, happy Sunday, y'all. Yep, it is Sunday. What is this going on over here? Aviator Dave says, I did not get a notification this morning. Backyard Quail Keeper says, okay, thanks, Terry. Absolutely. Like I say, I very seldom will try to save an injured bird. I mean, if they're, unless it's one of my top breeders, maybe it got into a fight and got scalped or something, I might isolate it then and work on it. But, if I get birds, that hatch out and they got splay leg or wry neck, anything like that, that's a physical disability, I just call the birds. I don't want to see them suffering, so. Bob says, I got the notifications 2 minutes before it started. Okay. Aviator Dave says, how was your ice fishing in the north? It was excellent. Back when I lived in Michigan, and it's been many years, I haven't been there. Well, I've been there visiting, but I haven't lived there since I was in my 20s. And it was great. I mean, that was one of our winter pastimes, was to go out ice fishing, and I loved it. My wife did. The first year I took my wife up there, she wasn't born in Florida, but she was raised in Florida since she was like 5 years old. And first time I took her out on the ice, I had a snowmobile suit for her to wear, and she didn't want to wear it because it looked stupid. So she went out on the ice in her slacks and a regular shirt and her coat. Needless to say, she didn't last 10 minutes, and she was back up in the car and sat in the car the remainder of the day while we fished. But no, I love ice fishing. I don't know how well I could handle the cold now, though. It's been a long time since I've had to suffer through a Michigan winter. Yeah, but you live in the wetlands. I don't live in wetlands if you don't like bugs. I'm just saying, though. Yeah, well, tell that to all the tourists that come down here. Aviator Dave says, I build bat houses to control the bloodsuckers. Yeah, we got a few of those around here. We do have a little bit of a bat population. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if they're coming, from the trees across the street. It's close wherever they're coming from. But it's neat because you can sit out there in the evening and watch them flying around. And I'm sure that's what they're after is, mosquitoes and other bugs and whatnot. Underhill says, I checked my phone, no notifications. Carrie said, that would be me, LOL. Dragon Girl says, snowmobile suits look more attractive the colder it is outside. Yep, I agree 100%. I mean, to me, they don't look bad. It looks like you're dressing for the weather, so. Yeah, I kind of miss, all the stuff I used to do in the wintertime up north. I mean, I was an avid bow hunter and gun hunter and fisherman, so I kind of looked forward to fall and, the winter months in in Michigan. But like a dummy, I bought a motorcycle when I was young and I asked my boss, I said, can I take 6 months off? I want to, take a cruise down to Florida on the bike and, just enjoy the summer. He said, yeah, no problem. Well, 30 some odd years later, I'm still here. So, yeah, it's funny. But he closed up the shop anyhow, so I guess it was all for the better. Creative Exotic says, I lived in Florida for 4 years, and the no-see-ums, yeah, tell me about them, that bite were the worst. They are. Especially like if you go to the beach, you're trying to enjoy the beach or go fishing down there, by the water, and just out of nowhere, the no-see-ums come and attack you. What I don't like, no-see-ums I can deal with because they don't really bite. I don't know why they don't bite me as much. They're probably landing on me but not biting. But I guess they're horse flies, these little black horse flies. When you get down by the mangroves, fishing in the mangroves, and maybe it's a certain time of year, but I had those stupid things following me. I was out at Matlacha, for any of you who know where that is. It's right off of Pine Island. And those things, I found a spot. I was walked out the end of the pier. I came back. I was going to fish from shore. And those things just started following me and biting me. And I couldn't get away from them. So I had to actually walk out to the end of the pier again and fish out there because that was the only place the stupid bugs wouldn't follow me to. So, no, it was crazy. Carrie says, I grew up in Florida. I moved to California 3 years ago. Cool. What part of Florida are you from? I like it down here. I mean, I've gone back. I was here for like 2 years. And then I thought, it's time to go back to Michigan. I packed my stuff up and drove back to Michigan. I wasn't in Michigan for 2 weeks, and nothing's changed around here. I'm going back to Florida. So, yeah, it was nice, back then. I mean, a lot of things have changed here in Florida. Area I grew up in. The area I stayed in Florida, which is the North Fort Myers area. Back when I came here, when I first moved here, this was almost like country. I mean, half the roads were unpaved. It was crazy. But now it's just Cape Coral's so grown up. North Fort Myers is like its own little city. Lehigh exploded. So, yeah, I mean, it's either, move further north or south down towards the Glades or just stay where I'm at. So, I don't know. Me and my sister are talking about buying some land down here when she retires, and 5 acres or so, and then put a house on one end and a house on the other end, and then she can play snowbird, come back and forth and I can stay on the property and watch it. Me and my wife can. Let's see where we at. Underhill says in the Southwest there are bomber flies that drink blood and they're super territorial and not afraid. I wonder if maybe that's what it was. I don't know what they were. They hurt when they stung and when they bit. So, Native Exotic says I lived in Hollywood, Florida. Been there once. They were so bad there. Yeah, I can believe it. I think they're bad everywhere. Just a matter of getting used to it and. I don't know. I'm not big on using mosquito sprays and stuff, so I guess I just tolerate them. Okay, Carrie says Cocoa Beach. I know where that is too. Never been there, but I know where it is. Wait a minute. I have been there when I was flying drones for the power company. I was there. T. Mercer says, question. During the summer, my hens were laying. The past 2 months, I have gotten one egg. I've made sure that they have light, plenty of airflow, and feed them Game Bird Starter and Grit. Any suggestions? Well, if they're laying, you don't want to be on Game Bird Starter. You want to put them on like a 16% layer formula, or even 18% if you can find it. They don't need the protein once they start laying. They don't need as much protein. You don't want to get them fat, but they do need that extra calcium to help them with eggshells and whatnot. And also check the feed and make sure that the methionine, I don't know if I said that right. Anyhow, watch this video. It's a live stream with Jeff Maddox here on the channel. He goes all into poultry nutrition. He's a nutritionist, knows his stuff, and he'll give you a lot of good pointers on when to feed and what to feed. Well, not really when to feed, but when to feed what is what I meant. But I mean, if you've got 16 hours of light during the summer, my hens were laying past 2 months. Have they started molting by any chance? A lot of times when they go into molt, they'll stop laying. Are they indoors or outdoors? A lot of times too, if they're outdoors and you've got like a predator that's coming around at night, that's kind of spooking them or upsetting them, stressing them out, that can cause them to go off lay. He says the oldest are about 3 months old and the youngest are about 8 weeks old. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee area. Yeah, everything I said earlier. Ooh, my back. Check those 3 things. Like I say, get them off the layer feed. They don't need that. And it sounds like you got your daylight hours already good. So just make sure you don't have any stressing issues going on there, like predators and whatnot. Dave says, Terry, did you ever make bulak? Nope, never heard of it. Yeah, you talking about, why can't I think of the word? I did a video on it once. No, I've never made it. I've had people ask me for it. What is that stuff called? Senior moment here. Sometimes things just don't come to me. But $20 for 18 eggs in the Asian market here is Augusta. Yeah, that's about what they're getting for them down here. If I could, haven't had enough coffee yet. I'll think of the word, or somebody knows what it is. Balut. Thank you. Balut. Lord. Yeah. You probably typed it right. I always mistype things with my fat fingers. T. Mercer said they are outside. Yeah, definitely check and make sure that there's no cats or anything coming around at night, or raccoons, possums, something that might be spooking them. Underhill says you might need supplemental lighting. I think he said he did have that. Underhill says, for my chickens, I don't do it because I want them to lay for many years. But for quail, you can. Are you talking about lighting? Yeah. Terry says, T. Mercer, what kind of lights do you have? Solar didn't work for me, so I got bright Christmas light, and boom, magical. Um, yeah, I like I say, I'm moving. I don't have any quail indoors anymore. Everything's getting moved out back, and I've got to address that issue myself. What I had was LED strips, LED light strips, solar panel, and a small. I don't remember what amperage it was on that battery. I think it was like a 15 amp hour battery, um, and a timer set up out back, and that worked well when I had them in the aviary. So I'll probably do the same thing once I build the cages. Aviator Dave says, Terry, how are your lungs doing? I still have a little bit of a tickle in my throat. I don't know if you guys noticed. I get hacking every now and then. Um, Not near as bad as my wife. I mean, she's getting over right now. She had a bronchitis attack about a week and a half ago, and she's still got something in her chest that she can't get rid of, can't cough up. So we may end up back at the doctor's office, have them see what's going on. Windows in the house. Hi, Terry. You must have seen many soldier flies in your area. I've only seen a few since Ian hit. I haven't noticed since the hurricane blew through because I haven't had any birds out back. But normally there's a ton of them here. I mean, I can dump. Wait a minute. I have seen them. What we were doing when we were cleaning cages, we were dumping the manure in trash bins, and we had like 3 trash bins. Every time I cleaned cage, we'd fill them up and set them out for the garbage man because I didn't have the pile set up out back because it was by my bees, and I didn't want my wife walking past the bees to dump the manure. So we were going to move the compost bin over to the other side of the yard, but until then, I told her, I said, just, garbage it, bag it up, but put it in the cans and we'll give it to the garbage man. And I did see a few flying around the tops of the cans when I was out there. So, and that was since the hurricane. As far as, on a compost pile, I won't know until I start. But I noticed too, year before last, when I had the birds out back, or when I was dumping compost out back, dumping manure out back for the compost, that during the wintertime, I didn't see as many. And the pile didn't work down as fast as it would like in the spring and the summer when we had some rains to get that manure wet. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Aviator Dave says, I feed my birds black soldier fly larvae. I tried that. They were eating it, but it was nothing special, so I stopped giving it to them. Matter of fact, I had a company, can't remember their name, they sent me 2 5-pound bags of dried black soldier fly larvae. And can't remember the name, grub something. And they just picked through it. I mean, they would eat it, but I think they preferred the feed more than they did the dried soldier fly. Free Time says eating lots of garlic keeps the blood suckers off. Maybe that's it, because I do eat a lot of garlic. So that could be it. Yes, everyone that commented, Balut, you were right. It's just that my old aging brain couldn't remember that word. Underhill says fertilized developing embryo dish. Is that what they're calling it? There you go, methionine and lysine. Thank you, Double R Farms. Anthony's in the house. Good morning, Anthony. Hope your birds are doing good. I'm glad you finally got the trays out of here. Sorry that you had to drive all the way out here to pick them up. Underhill says, none of my dinos, quail, or chickens will eat mealworms. I don't know what it is. Yeah, like I say, I noticed that my quail weren't big fans of the black soldier fly larva, or, dried or live. So, I mean, they would eat it. They would pick through it for a little while, but they would waste more than they were eating. Anthony is in us. Good morning, sir. He is in here joining us from Lehigh Acres, Florida. Glad you can make it. Terry says, I have a mealworm farm to feed my quail. Aviator Dave says, I used to raise mealworms, not a lot. Um, Back when I had reptiles, because the leopard geckos loved them, and so did the bearded dragons. But I think it was cheaper for me to just buy them than for the time I was spending, raising them. Aviator Dave. Oh, I think I already commented that. Eat black garlic. Mark Garrett's in the house says morning, a little late. No, actually, Mark, you're probably on time. You're actually it would be a little bit early because it's only 8:30. Okay, yes. See, I'm thrown off. The regular clock says it's 9:30, but it's actually 8:30. So no, we were actually early. We went live an hour earlier, Eastern Standard Time wise. So, Carrie says my egg sales have been super slow, but my chicks sell like crazy. I can't keep enough to grow out for sale, so I got a lot in the incubators. I've had so many people calling me since I've got rid of all my birds. I mean, I've got people wanting hatching eggs, people wanting live birds, and I'm like, I don't have any right now, and it's probably going to be a couple months before I do again. I do plan on. For those of you who weren't here last week, we talked a little bit about some changes going on with the Coturnix Corner channel. When I first started the channel, I started out doing a lot of entry level stuff, I guess you would say. It was beginner stuff because back then I was beginner. But over the years, it kind of advanced a little bit. We got into genetics and different, color varieties and, building incubators, all kinds of stuff. But now that, I don't have birds inside anymore, and I don't plan on keeping the number of birds that I originally had outdoors. I'm moving everything outdoors because of my wife's COPD, but a lot too that I'm starting to feel it now. So I'm going to be doing everything outside. So I'm going to kind of roll the channel back to entry level quail raising, I guess you would say. And because 70% of the people that, visit the channel or even on the Facebook group pages, 70% of the people are newbies. And I don't want to, yeah, there's plenty of information out there. There's a lot of people out there that are more advanced. The people that stick around in the quail for a while, they're always helping out with the more advanced stuff. But the newbies, and I see it in Facebook, and well, not so much here, but sometimes the newbies get overlooked. They'll ask a question, and if somebody doesn't chastise them for asking a basic, simple question, they either get ignored or they get talked down to, I guess you'll say. So I kind of want to address the 70% that grew the channel or are constantly growing the channel, because you're going to find that of the people that get into it, usually within a year, probably of that 70%, probably 50% of that 70 is getting out of quail. They get started, they find out what it's all about, and then they, decide to take another avenue, I guess you'd say. But how did I get on that big, long, what were we talking about? Oh, egg sales. So anyhow, because I'm moving everything outside and going to be keeping a lot less quail, I'm not going to have the numbers of hatching eggs or chicks available. So the locals aren't going to be getting as much from me as they normally would. Anthony says, how long after you put the boys and girls together will the eggs be fertile? As long as the males are successfully breeding the hens, within a week you can start. I usually give them 2 weeks before I start collecting, but if you're anxious to start setting eggs and the roosters are inseminating the hens, no problem, then yeah, within a week you should get some decent fertility rates. Samantha's in the house. Says, good morning. Had our first 20-degree night bar. Lost one midget white turkey and 2 naked neck chicks, but the quail are thriving. Yeah, the quail are tough. They can handle the weather. I'm surprised at the chickens. Oh, you said there was chicks. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Where are you at, Samantha? I know you're in Michigan, but where at Michigan? Because if it's down in the 20s, I gotta call my sister and laugh at her. Dave says, Terry, research ozone for the lungs. I picked up black mold in Taiwan, and it saved my life. Research. I bubbled the ozone into olive oil before breathing. Okay. You know, I've been looking into something. You guys ever heard of mullein? It's like a little fuzzy plant, grows in like a rosette type of a shape. I've been doing a lot of reading up on it, and a buddy of mine is a naturalist, I guess you'd call him. He does a lot of out in the woods stuff. He was telling me how good that stuff is for your lungs. So I actually bought some tincture, mullein tincture, and we just started it the other day, but my wife's taking some and I'm taking some, and I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully it'll work, but it's got a lot of good reviews. I mean, not just reviews, but a lot of good write-ups, you know, like on WebMD and some of the other medical sites, that it does help with clearing out the lungs and stuff like that. And I'm sure Anita Garrett would know about it. She's into that homesteading naturalist stuff. Underhill says, I'm going to make an incubator out of a Arduino. What is that? Arduino. This winter. I hope to come up with something super cheap and share the code. Cool. Yeah, the one that we're building is the foam one that's here on the channel. It's the DIY box, and I've had a lot of people mention over the years, you know, hey, why don't you put a kit together to where the foam's all cut out. All we have to do is assemble it and, put the lights and stuff in it. And I was kind of reluctant to, due to shipping. I was always thinking shipping was going to make it, out of the price range of most people. But I've been doing a little bit of research on it, and I found shipping boxes that I can use for it. And then a few people told me a couple different shipping options and companies to go with to save money on that. So we're going to give it a try and see how it works out. Anita says, we raise mealworms to feed as treats once or twice a month. Feeding them too many will cause them to put on fat or on the heart, and it will cause CHF. I agree. Terry says, Anthony, 2 weeks, but I've done Terry's AI method the first week and had a 100% fertility rate. Anita says, Terry, that's how it happens. Our phones have been ringing nonstop. I can imagine. I mean, you've had a lot of people that were, buying from you guys, around the country. I was just talking about local people, but yeah, it's crazy. I finally got my phone to stop ringing because most of the people that buy from me, once they called and I told them, hey, I won't have anything for a few months, they'll leave me alone, till after the first of the year. Underhill says, you really advanced the hobby, Terry. I got into it definitely because of your videos. Well, I'm glad they helped. And that's what they're out there for. Bill Thompson says, my birds love the black soldier fly larvae. I crunch them up and put them in the long red chick feeders to minimize waste. Yeah, I was doing the same. I really didn't crunch them up. I just put them in their hole and let them kind of bust them up. But yeah, good. I mean, if they like them, like Anita said, don't overfeed them that, because you don't want your birds to get, too fat. But, as a treat, it would be good. Creative Exotic says, I'm newer to Quill and I appreciate your video so much. Thank you for your hard work. Not a problem. That's what they're there for. Don's in the house, says, hi from South Mississippi. Arrived late. Actually, you're 20 minutes early, but Samantha says, on the border of Ohio, and it was 20 degrees? Lordy. I got a bunch of family up north of Grand Rapids area. I got some in Grand Rapids area, but most of them are north of Cedar Springs, Rockford area. G Mama Growls says, hello, Coturnix Corner. I'm a newbie and just listening and learning. Well, glad you are learning, and welcome to the channel. Tony says, thank you both. It's been 2 weeks and I have been playing Barry White 24/7 for him. Okay, Anita says, mullein is great. It grows wild here in the yard. It is best if smoked. Yeah, that's what my neighbor was telling me. He says, I guess they call it smudging. I've never done it. And he actually gave me a bag of dried mullein. And I'm going to do it after my wife gets over her issue with the bronchitis right now. I don't want to have smoke in the house, just in case it irritates her condition more. Dave says, Terry, have you ever tried drinking kefir milk? No. I've seen kefir. I used to be a big yogurt nut, and I was going to try kefir, but I don't know. I never tried it. So no, I don't. What does that do? Does that help with your lungs or something? Or Underhill says, speaking of lungs and allergies, I love my Navage sinus cleaner. I saw the commercials for that on TV. Never tried it, but I'd be afraid to, because doesn't that thing blow water up one nostril and out the other or something? Seems to me I'd be afraid of getting it into my lungs. Richard says, question, did using power tools in the shop affect egg laying of the quail in the shop? Absolutely not. I was probably the noisiest person. I mean, I was running, power saws, my table saw, power saw, drill press, whatever. Any power tools that I had going never bothered them at all. But my birds were exposed to that from the time they were chicks forward. So to them, it was probably normal. But no, it did not affect egg laying. G Mama says, mullein is awesome to help support respiratory function. It grows wild in some areas, but be careful of lookalikes. Yeah, we tried to find it down here, me and my neighbor. We couldn't find it. The closest we found it was up towards the Florida-Georgia line, up in that area. Couldn't find it. And it wasn't that we were looking for mullein for the leaves, for the plant itself, but we were looking for the stalks. When they go into seed stalks, we use them for making hand drill fires. And it's funny, too, because when we finally got them and dried them out, they didn't work near as well for a hand drill as our local either elderberry works really well, and also dog fennel works good for making hand drill fires. So, yeah. Aviator Dave says, Terry, I really like your incubator video. Thanks. Absolutely. Anthony says, I have written code for a Raspberry Pi if anyone wants it. That's an OS, isn't it? I'm not big on Raspberry. I really don't know anything about it. So. Double R Farm says, I would love a kit to turn an old upright deep freezer into a hatcher. There you go. We were thinking, too, me and my wife were talking about it, making a kit and also having a nice-looking wood frame box that the whole incubator kit could slide into. So it would basically be an insulated box, but it would be a nice-looking insulated box. But I don't know if I want to go that far. The reason I built the DIY box is it was cheap. I mean, back when I was buying foam, it was like $20 a sheet. It's almost 30 now, but it was still cheaper than going out and buying a comparable incubator, because it'll do 240. You could actually put 3 shelves in there, so you could bump it up to like close to 400 eggs, 360 I believe, and for as cheap as they are, they work really good. Underhill says, talk to Anthony. Maybe you can send Terry a paste bin link and he can put it in a tiny little corner on the site. All right, now you guys are over my head because I have no idea what you're talking about. Bill Thompson said, when I had COVID or when I have anything bothering lungs, I nebulize glutathione and buddies, whatever that is. Okay. Yeah, I have never really had any issues with my lungs. I mean, I've never had, like my wife, she's got chronic bronchitis. I've never had any problems with it. I've never had pneumonia, anything like that. I think most of my lung issues are a combination of two things: the birds, the dander and dust from the birds, and also the sawdust, the amount of sawdust that I create out in my shop. So I need to be really careful now because I'm doing a lot more woodwork. As far as wearing a mask and stuff, some type of preventative. When you're young and stupid, I don't need a mask. I can deal without it. So Uriah says, "WTF is this? I have no idea what this is." Hey Terry, what kind of guitar is that? I like the Sunburst. That is an Epiphone Les Paul Studio 2, I believe. Yeah, it's a good little guitar. I mean, it's been hanging on the wall a lot more than I've played it, but I've got an acoustic right over here that I play more just because it takes a while, to set up the amp and everything. And I finally got this room cleaned out. I had a big work bench right here that had both my lasers on it. That's gone, and they're out in the shop. But I still got, you can't see it, but incubators up against this wall, cameras, ham radio equipment, just all my junk from, the tiles and cups and whatnot for my lasers. So, yeah, now that I got this room straightened out again, maybe I can get my amp set back up and start playing that again. But I know, I like the acoustic. Nita says, smudging is when you infuse the air with the smoke and breathe it in. I'm talking rolled in smoke. I know you're talking about, but I'd be afraid to smoke it. I don't know. It would. I can see it. It's supposed to be helpful, but it also seems to me that's bringing smoke into your lungs. Not so much for me, but for my wife. I don't want to aggravate her bronchitis and have her flare up again. Okay, with Underhill says, with the Navage, you just push your tongue up and it doesn't get in your throat. Okay. Windows says, put the Mullen in your bee smoker and you can puff it all over the house. That's kind of what I was thinking, not using the bee smoker, but when maybe I don't understand exactly what smudging is. I thought smudging was you just kind of light it and get some embers going, and then you kind of fan the smoke that's coming. Fan it into the air. Isn't that what smudging is? So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't been brave enough to try it yet just because, like I say, my wife's still having issues, and I don't want to, aggravate anything. Anita says the noise level and egg laying with the quail are all in what they are used to. Yep, and mine got used to being noisy. Kina says... Coturnix Man, question. Do you have any thoughts on the Barado egg incubators? I love them. They work wonderfully. I have two of them sitting here. I got the Real 49 and the Lumia 16. They are pretty much my go-to incubators for incubating eggs, and then I will take them out of that and put them in either the DIY box or I have a hatching time hatcher. I'll put them in that. That way the incubators stay clean. So, yes, Barado is excellent. Definitely worth the money. Uriah Woody says, hell yeah, Moldog fever. I don't know what that means, but okay. Carrie says, my kids ride our four-wheelers and dirt bikes near our cages, and they have no care in the world. Yeah, same with mine. When I had them out back in the aviary, I was mowing grass by there, running weed eaters. They never even batted a wing. Aviator Dave says, Terry Kiefer is the only thing that is spoken both in the Bible and the Quran. Okay, I did not know that. Double R Farm says, flushing your sinuses is amazing, instant relief. Like I say, I don't have a problem like with my sinuses or anything. and breathing, I just have this tickle back of my throat and way down deep in my lungs. It feels like almost like there's a cough you just can't get rid of. Like maybe it's mucus or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, and I've noticed since I got the birds out of the shop, it's a lot less irritating than it was when I had all the birds out there. Uriah says everyone wants a piece of mullen. Okay. Aviator Dave says, Terry, kefir is what Moses consumed in the desert for 40 years. Wow. I wonder why I didn't know that. Uriah says, but the Mulldog can't be tamed. Again, not knowing what you're talking about. Richard Harris says, great. I'm getting ready this spring to start raising quail and wanted to keep them in my garage. Too many feral cats around. Thank you. Absolutely. And we have feral cats around here too, and I'm really concerned with what they may do to the birds. I haven't had any issues with birds in the aviary. They laid eggs just fine. But my neighbor right next door, she feeds all these feral cats, and I don't want to say anything and be a bad neighbor, but I have 4 dogs, so I can let the dogs out, and maybe the cats will think, oh, we're not going over there. This guy's got too many dogs. So I don't know. We're going to see what happens. Anita says, we have found the best deals on boxes from Uline. That's one of the suggestions I got. Even with the shipping cost, it isn't horrible. Yeah, I was looking on Uline. I found the box sizes that I needed to box up the incubators, and then I was looking for the ones for the cage kits. They had 2 different, I guess it would be weights. One was 200 pounds crush proof. The other one was 250, I want to say, or 275, something like that. But they weren't that expensive. I mean, the bigger box for the incubator was like $1.25 a box, and that's if you only ordered 25. If you ordered, into the hundreds, it'd be a lot cheaper. But I seriously doubt I'm gonna be able to sell 100 kits. But anyhow, Uriah says, our quail likes chickens. They seem like a shitty bird. Well, they are kind of crappy birds. They poop a lot, but if you're used to chickens, quail are be no big deal. Underhill says, we're talking about hobby electronics development and the software code for it. Okay. I was reading something up on somebody wanted to run some software. They mentioned Raspberry. They wanted to run some software. They said that it would run on Unix or Linux, something else, and Raspberry. So I just assumed Raspberry was like an OS. So Anthony, enlighten us. WR Farm says, hey, Anthony, what kind of code exactly? Quails are like Kmart version of chickens, right? Yeah, pretty much. Bob says, you might want to add a vacuum system for sawdust in the shop that vents outside. I do have, it's in here right now, but it's fixing to be moved out there. That will move 600 cubic feet per minute, the fan. I've also got a monster fan, which I bought for up in the attic. I'm very seriously thinking about bringing it down here and putting it in the shop. But I do have a dust vacuum system that hooks up to like my CNC machine, but I need to get one for the table saw. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. I do need to get that. The fine particles would be nice to get that sucked right out of the shop, because I'm noticing it like when I'm using the table saw. I'll go over and on top of my lasers, I've got a real fine dust on top of the lasers. So, yep, good idea. Not talking to me. Bill Thompson says it's getting cold enough to keep the garage doors closed. So I made a big Corsi filter out of the box fan and the 2030 filters. Those work really well. Matter of fact, I just pulled a filter off of a single box fan, a single filter. But I like building the ones you got multiple filters. You make a cube out of it, and the fan sits on top and draws the air up through it. That worked really well too when I had a bunch of birds in the shop. You're right. Woody says, "Happy Sunday. I worked 14 hours yesterday. I want to die, but I'm too much of a coward to kill myself." Double R Farms says, "Ham Radio 73s K1CDB. Small world." Yeah, it is. I've been a ham since, believe it or not, I got my novice license in Michigan when I was 11 years old. I come from a long line of hams. My dad was a ham. My grandparents were hams. Great grandparents were hams. Yeah. As a matter of fact, my dad passed away a little over a year ago, and I just obtained his call sign. So it's now KCPW versus, what was it before? KC4TM. So, yep. Nita says, yes, that is smudging, infusing the air by hand. Okay, cool. And Double R Farms, just so you know, I do strictly QRP CW. I don't even own a microphone anymore. All my work is CW. I used to do a lot of, it's kind of like a challenge I did for myself years back. The least amount of wattage for the most amount of distance that I could get. And so far, I've got Germany and England on 1/4 of a watt. And I thought that was pretty good. Fawn says, how young should quail be for them to go outside? Once they're fully feathered, they should be fine. You want to wean them off the light like around between 3 and 3.5 weeks. Start weaning them off the light. And by 4 weeks of age, they should be fully feathered and should be able to handle the weather. Just make sure that once you do move them outside, they can get out of the wind and the rain and the snow and whatnot. The wind is what really makes them, makes them cold. The wind chill, I guess you would say. So, yeah, if they can get out of the wind and the rain and the snow, they'll do just fine. Underhill says the throat tickle comes from stuff in your sinuses running into your lungs. There you go. Okay, I'm going to put this up there, but I have no idea what it means. Kefar is to atone, which is the root for kefir. It is allegory. You lost me, man. Over my head. Aviator Dave says, Terry, if you want me to send you some kefir grains, I can. I drink the fermented drink all day long. It will make you very, very healthy. Yeah, I mean, I'm game for anything. Like I say, I've heard of it, but I've just never really done anything on it. Kino says, Terry, you look military. Do you have any military background? No, I come from a long line of military people, but I don't have any military background. I was too wild as a kid. Andy Rabbit's in the house says, hello, glad you could join us. All right, here we are. Anthony says, a Raspberry Pi is a line of single-board computers starting at $20 up to just under $100. They run a Linux-type OS open source. Okay, I kind of thought it was something to do with operating system. I wasn't sure. Cool. Learn something new every day. Anita says, we like the boxes that are scored and can be folded and cut to different heights. Those can be sometimes accommodate multiple products. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to look into all that. Like I say, I'm in the process of getting the prototype done. I'm going to build the whole thing, then I'm going to tear it apart and see how I can box it up, and then we'll start getting serious on finding boxes. Underhill says those large tube-style carbon filters that are used for plant growing tents would probably make excellent filters for the bird room. Yeah, I could imagine they would, especially with carbon. Andy Rabbit says, did you start early today? I did. Like it's 9 o'clock now, so we would normally be starting right now, but somebody changed the times on us, and I got up way too early according to the clock, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go live at 8 o'clock, which will really be 9 o'clock yesterday's time. So, oh, Anthony, I didn't know you were a ham. KJ4WXH. Cool. Windows says, hi, Andy. Daylight saving time thing had me almost missing the musings. Wife always sets clocks back for me, and she slept in. LOL. I just woke up at my normal time, Wendell. I mean, I'm usually up. Well, we have 4 dogs. They always tell us when it's time to go out in the morning, and that is usually about 5 o'clock. So I was up at 4 o'clock this morning, according to the clock. But, oh, it's ridiculous. Andy Rabbit said we set the clocks back last night, but I have no idea. No idea. Here Dave says kefir tastes like buttermilk. Oh, cool. Yeah, like I say, I'll give it a try. It's nothing I've ever had before or looked into, but all I can say is I've heard of it. I don't know. I never really researched it as far as benefits and whatnot. And my coffee's cold. So that means it's time to pull the plug because I got one more cup of coffee in the coffee pot, and I got to get out in the shop and get some work done. Andy Rabbit says, "Okay, I was wondering. I thought something funny was happening around here." Yeah, no. Next week we'll go back to the regular. By then I'll probably be used to the time change. It throws me off because. Had I waited till 9 o'clock, which I'd just be starting right now, I feel like I'm losing an awful lot of work that I could be doing out in the shop. So. And Bill says, I use 4 20 by 30 MERV 8 filters for the Corsi filter. Any higher MERV, they get expensive, and I thought they might clog up fast. Yeah, I think I was I using the 8s? I believe they were 8s. And I would take mine, I got a blower for my air compressor. I would take them outside and blow everything off, blow it out, and makes my filters last a little bit longer. Underhill says, $10 super chat. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate that. We're going to put that towards something to do with the channel, but it's much, much appreciated. Not expected, but much appreciated. Mark says, have a great day, and Andy says, I really dislike the time change. Yeah, everybody dislikes time changes, I think. All right, guys. It's 9 o'clock. Time for me to get my last cup of coffee and get out in the shop and get some work done. Appreciate you joining me today. Sorry about the confusion on the time. Next week, we'll be back to our regular 9 a.m. time. It's still going to drive me nuts, but yeah. Join us Tuesday. I don't know if I got anything planned for Tuesday or not. I don't think I do, but I'll check around, see if I can't find. I'm going to get a hold of Klaus Marshall from Paradise Quail. See if he can come on Tuesday. He might. So anyhow, thanks again, guys, for joining me. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and we will catch up with you on Tuesday. Everyone have a great weekend, a great week. Stay safe, and all that good stuff. We'll see you.